Ambassador, thank you for your time. This year marks the 70th anniversary of the Embassy of Iceland in China. How do you evaluate the achievements of China-Iceland bilateral cooperation in areas such as clean energy, green economy, specialty foods, and cultural tourism?
First of all, I'd like to say that we had very good relations with China for more than 30 years. The embassy was established here in 1995. But of course, our political relationship with China are 50 years old. But evidently, with the establishment of our embassy here in Beijing, our cooperation became much more active. You did mention the energy, and that has been a very important part of our cooperation. Already when the embassy was established, we were already having cooperation with China in that field. But in 1995, we started to focus more on the commercial relations of bringing Icelandic companies with their technologies to China. And that later resulted in the joint venture between Arctic Green Energy and Sinopec, which is now providing house heating with geothermal water in more than 70 cities and counties in China. And in 2013, we negotiated a free trade agreement with China, which boosted trade considerably.
In 2024, you attended the Global Ocean Development Forum in Qingdao, Shandong Province. What potential do you see for Iceland-China collaboration in sustainable blue economy development?
Considering the importance of the oceans for both countries, and considering that both countries put a lot of emphasis on the blue economy, both from the perspective of conserving and protecting the oceans and from the perspective of encouraging sustainable development and utilization of the oceans, I think we got a lot to talk about there, a lot to exchange in terms of expertise, knowledge and vision, and cooperation internationally.
China has decided to expand the visa-free policy to ordinary passport holders from Iceland, with Iceland ranking among the top 10 most desired travel destinations for Chinese tourists in 2023 and 2024. How can Iceland and China further strengthen culture and tourism cooperation? What are your expectations for developments in this field?
That is a very positive development. I would want to see more tourists coming from Iceland to China. It is still a bit complicated to fly to Asia. It is still expensive for the average consumer, but hoping competition in the future will lower those costs. There's been a lot of talk about a direct flight between Iceland and China. That is something that we would welcome. We have an aviation agreement. Our carriers are working with other carriers to make it easier to fly to Iceland, but also we look favorably at Chinese aviation companies to establish a direct flight from China to Iceland. That would evidently make much easier to re-bring again cultural relations.
As geothermal cooperation between China and Iceland continues to be strengthened, what positive significance do you think this collaboration holds for global climate change efforts?
Oh, I think it's great. China can make a major contribution towards reducing carbon emissions. And Iceland has campaigned for a long time to use renewable energy. And our geothermal cooperation with China is important step for China to reduce its emissions. And we are already working with China on what is called carbon capture and reuse. There's an Icelandic company that builds facilities in industrial facilities in China, captures the carbon, produces methanol that is either used for industrial purposes or as energy medium for cars and ships. So, and there are other areas in the climate that we could work even more in the future. And I should make that point that all the biggest global Icelandic companies are with presence in China. We got something called the Icelandic Business Forum, and that's a network that we meet regularly with them to discuss common interest in China, and they are always positive towards doing business in China.
Icelandic companies have participated in the China International Import-Expo for many years. Has China's ongoing efforts to expand high-level opening up attracted more Icelandic companies to focus on the Chinese market?
The free trade agreement did a lot in terms of increasing our trade with China. And the CIE is a venue that we have participated in from the beginning. Those companies that have participated there have been very pleased. And we will continue to participate in the CIE, and the Embassy of Iceland will continue to support Icelandic companies that want to come and join that.
Both China and Iceland place great emphasis on scientific and research cooperation. What is your perspective on China-Iceland Arctic cooperation?
Iceland supported the observer status of China in the Arctic Council. And it was probably the first country in the Arctic Council that spoke strongly about China coming in as an observer. And our argument has always been, because of the importance of China in the environmental sector, it's important to have China with us in the Arctic to understand the issues and do research with China. And Russia has made research cooperation in the Arctic complicated. And that, unfortunately, has negative effects on our research cooperation. But what I'm saying is that, in essence, we do want to cooperate with China in research. We think it's important, but for the time being, it's complicated.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you for your time.